All right, guys, so let's talk about sports drinks. So, sports drinks are intended to be consumed by those who are engaging in vigorous physical activity. It's not meant for the person who's just kind of lounging at home on their couch. Now, these should be consumed by people who are exercising for longer than about 60 minutes at a time. And there's three main things that we really look for when we're talking about sports drinks: it's the carbohydrate content, it's the fluid, and it's the electrolytes. When it comes to carbs, we want a good ratio of carbs to fluid, and that's where you see this 6 to 8% carbohydrate solution. If you have too many carbs, it can cause GI distress. If you have too little, then you're not really replenishing what you're burning through exercise. In addition to that, we also want multiple transportable carb sources because basically, if you mix up the different carbs you're consuming, you're going to be able to absorb more of those per hour. And lastly, we want the appropriate amount of electrolytes in the product. Primarily, we're going to be looking at sodium since that's the main electrolyte that we're going to be losing in our sweats during exercise. When we look at the products on the left, these are going to be what I consider well-formulated products for athletes. And then on the right, these are going to be poorly formulated products for athletes, or what I would consider lifestyle type products. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But essentially, the ones on the left, they're going to have appropriate carbohydrate concentration, making them isotonic solutions, which basically means it's the same concentration as our blood. They also focus primarily on sodium replenishment because this is the main electrolyte that we're going to be losing in our sweat. Additionally to that, on the multiple transportable carbs again, so these are going to have a combination of different carbs, usually glucose, fructose, and the reason why we do this is because then we can absorb more carbohydrates per hour while we're engaging in physical activity. So look at the products that are on the right here. They do not have that same carbohydrate to fluid concentration, making them more hypotonic, which is not ideal for athletes. They also focus primarily on potassium content, which we lose a smaller percentage of during exercise. And it's not really the main electrolyte that we're trying to replenish. Again, remember, we're trying to replenish sodium, not potassium. We do lose some potassium, but it's not going to be our main focus. And then they either don't have an ideal ratio of these multiple transportable carbs, or they don't have any carbs at all. So a lot of these products, like for instance, Prime Hydration, you'll see this one is basically a 0 calorie for the most part product, or 0 sugar, I should say, no added sugar. And a lot of the other products that you'll see on the store shelves, so like even Gatorade makes 0 sugar versions of their products. So when we're talking about an athlete, again, the main fuel source that they're going to be burning during physical activity is going to be carbohydrates. So it makes sense that we want those carbs actually so that we can replenish those. So if we don't have any of that, then it's not really serving that purpose. And that's where I would consider it more kind of like a lifestyle product. So the sports drinks, again, those Gatorades, the Powerades of the world, those are going to be better suited for people who are, doing that rigorous physical activity. Or maybe if you're the type of person who's, having a manual labor job, you're working outside, it's hot, you're sweating a lot, they're going to be good ways to, give you more fuel, give you those electrolytes back, give you some fluid. For the drinks that are on the right side, though, so the Body Armors and the Primes of the world, those are going to be better suited for people who aren't doing anything physically active at the moment. Maybe you just want a tasty beverage, right? The thing that makes these a little bit better for the person who is drinking one of these when they're really just hanging out at home is, one, they have more potassium than they do sodium by a long shot. And most Americans do not consume enough potassium in their diet. So I'd much rather see somebody be, casually sipping on a potassium-rich drink than a sodium-rich drink, since we get plenty of sodium as it is. And then two, so these drinks usually are 0 calorie for the most part, or pretty low calories. So again, if you're just sort of sedentary, chilling at home, you really don't need all of the sugar and the extra calories from the traditional sports drinks. That's basically the summary of what to look for in sports drinks. Let me know if you thought this was helpful, and let me know what other topics I should cover next.